What's up, guys? Today I'm very excited to bring to you yet another Open Great League team. This team started working for me much earlier and much better than I actually thought it would. I kind of half expected this team to fall a bit flat, just to a couple certain weaknesses. But I'll talk a little bit about the team and why I'm playing these specific Pokemon as we watch the first matchup. But first of all, as usual, I'd like to give a huge shout out to all my Patreon supporters. This growing list, you guys have all been awesome, and thank you so much. I couldn't be doing this without you guys. But yeah, without further ado, let's start watching some of these games. I'll talk a little bit about this team. So the reason I created this team in this first place was because Noctowl was a Pokemon that I was considering using in Nightfall, but I had realized I'd never actually played with one before, so I wanted to build a team to kind of learn Noctowl's matchups. And Noctowl's a very common Pokemon. Honestly, I didn't use Psychic this entire time, or I haven't used it yet. So you can very easily run Noctowl with one move. You're not going to be hurting yourself. So it's a very cheap, very honestly, very well performing investment. That I think that if you put in like a lead or a closer position, it can function very well because it's really only flying damage, right? But if you eliminate the anti-flyer, it can go ham. So this team, I chose Mandibuzz as my safe swap to. I think Mandibuzz is probably one of the best flyer safe swaps, if not the best. Mandibuzz just continues to impress me. You guys will see more teams with Mandibuzz from me in the future for sure. This Pokemon is incredible. But there was some debate as to what Pokemon I should use in the lead here, and I originally had settled on Galarian Stunfisk just to take care of all the rock types, but I figured Sirfetch'd might be more useful here. You lose a lot of other matchups, but it might be more useful if you're taking a look at the more condensed meta, right? Like you see Azu and G-Fisk all the time. Well, what does better against Azu and G-Fisk than G-Fisk? Well, Sirfetch'd does. So that's why Sirfetch'd kind of slots in here to eliminate the Azu and G-Fisk. And before you say anything, yes, I know it doesn't beat Azu in the one shield, but the game isn't all about the one shield. If there's any residual damage, if you have an energy advantage, if you want to blow two shields, which as you guys know, I'm perfectly fine with blowing two shields whenever. That Sirfetch'd is pretty incredible. I'll talk about the movesets really quick. I use Close Combat in the lead. You can clear that debuff really quick, and Close Combat or Brave Bird here I think are the choice. Night Slash I think is a bit too weak, and you want to be taking out these G-Fisk like Pokemon. So we're gonna see Mandibuzz lead here. We're gonna get right into these games. Mandibuzz lead. I'm gonna shield because it's an aerial ace, and I'm gonna go for the Close Combat here. So right as I talk about Close Combat, we're going to see exactly how much damage it does. It nearly takes out a Mandibuzz by itself, and I'm going to swap in my own Mandibuzz to just kind of farm up a little bit. And it's a good thing I do because they bring out their G-Fisk right there. So Galarian Stunfisk is not nearly as hard of a counter for Mandibuzz as you might think. While Rock Slides are super effective, it doesn't get the same type of attack bonus. And Mandibuzz is just extremely incredibly tanky, and Foul Plays and Snarl both hit neutrally. So it's honestly pretty close. You can usually either win shield advantage or switch advantage, but because they swapped slowly at the beginning, I'm able to bring my Sirfetch'd out and take out their G-Fisk. And I'm going to shield up here and farm down the Mandibuzz. So now I have no shields, but they only have a Ferrothorn left. So Ferrothorn is actually incredibly bad versus this team. This is one of the advantages. You just completely wall certain types of Pokemon. That being, I think Ferrothorn and Shiftry really don't have good times. So if you run into like the Caleb Peng team with Alolan Marowak and Shiftry and Ferrothorn in the back, you're pretty much set. It's almost impossible to lose with this team without being severely outplayed. So while Thunder hits back really hard, look at Noctowl. Like Noctowl is also incredibly tanky. I know we haven't got to talk about Noctowl a lot yet, but it's very tanky. Has a decent moveset. Wing Attack is an okay fast move. Well, it's pretty good. But Sky Attack's an incredible charge move, and Fly has the best neutral coverage in the game, I think, if I'm remembering that correctly. So there's just not a lot that Noctowl can't hit very hard, and for the stuff that it can't hit very hard, for example, stuff like G-Fisk and Bastiodon, that's going to come out right when you swap in Mandibuzz in the first place. So we're going to see Umbreon versus Mandibuzz. This might be the most boring matchup of all time. They both have to resort to Aerial Ace and Last Resort, which are moves that you don't get same type attack bonus and that aren't very strong. It looks like Umbreon slightly outpaces it, but because they swapped a bit slow, you're going to see I'm going to go right into Sirfetch'd and just farm a little bit. The matchup versus Deoxys-Defense isn't that great, but if he wants to hit you very hard, it has to be a Psycho Boost. And at this point, I'm fairly confident it's a Psycho Boost. He has not been able to charge up that much, so I'm able to shield, and he's had his attack debuffed now. So the Umbreon is also quite low, and I'm able to regain his shield back, despite having to use one for the Psycho Boost. And either we'll probably get another shield, or, yeah, I'll get another shield there. So Sirfetch'd, with the energy advantage, is able to take back shield advantage from Deoxys-Defense. So we're going to see how much this super effective Rock Slide does after 2 debuffs. It's almost nothing to Noctowl. I feel comfortable farming all the way down. And they're going to bring back in Umbreon. Regardless of what this Umbreon is throwing, it probably won't deal that much damage. I want to save my shield for whatever is in the back. I throw my Sky Attack now because I know this Umbreon does have quite a bit of energy. And it's probably very close to next foul play. But this game is not over yet. We've seen Azumarill. Azumarill very good against this team, honestly. So actually, this team and the last team I've made, Azumarill has been very incredible against. And you might be wondering how I'm even winning games. But the thing is, these teams are so good against Pokemon not named Azumarill that versus an Azumarill, you kind of just throw as many bodies as you can at the Azumarill, and eventually it goes down. It's not like the Azumarill is going to... it doesn't have dominating matchups like Bastiodon does, where you can kind of 100 to 0 Pokemon without shields. Azumarill takes quite a bit of damage just from being up against a Sirfetch'd or a Mandibuzz or a Noctowl. It just can't avoid it. So while none of these Pokemon beat Azumarill individually, it's kind of a team effort. It's kind of a Birdemic. So we're going to see a regular Mawile in the lead. I don't know this match at all. I remember this match too because I misplayed it a little bit. So they don't shield my Leaf Blade. And then I assumed that this was a power-up punch, but it is indeed not a power-up punch. And I'm going to take the Iron Head on my Sirfetch'd. In hindsight, not a great play. I should have really been counting better, but they're going to bring out their Azumarill. So this is looking like a pretty bad matchup right here. And I know it at this point. But what I want it to do is let this Azumarill spend its energy, and Noctowl does more damage to Azumarill than Mandibuzz does. So I'm going to swap in, even though I'm revealing my full team now, the fact that they haven't swapped kind of means that Azumarill is their best bet here. Although it's kind of weird that they're not shielding Sky Attacks. But yeah, I'm going to, see, they're going to swap in Shadow Victreebel here. The person I played against here, I know they watch these videos too because they did leave a comment after we played, or they sent me a message. So, yeah, this was a lot of fun. This is a prime example of it right here. Azumarill is very hard to deal with, but the rest of the Pokemon on their team just get absolutely shredded by the double flyer backline. Like, you can't really bring Shadow Victreebel into this. This isn't my opponent's fault. Like, what are they supposed to do there with the Shadow Victreebel? There's no better play. And then even then, Mawile also doesn't do very well against this team. Did well against Sirfetch'd because it kind of didn't really count very well. But in another scenario, I probably would have shielded that and brought a ton of energy into the next matchup. And that Azumarill can't come in anymore. That would have to be the Shadow Victreebel could probably burn a shield with close combat instead. So we're going to see a Mandibuzz lead here. This one's Air Slash. So it's way more risky for me to be staying in like this, but I kind of committed to it because close combat does a ton of damage, and Mandibuzz, they never shield this. But once again, you're going to see this Azumarill come in, so it's not like I'm getting lucky and I'm not running to Azumarills. There are plenty of Azumarills out here. You're running to them, I'm running to them. They're honestly a menace. Which might be ironic because the team I'm working on right now kind of is based around Azumarill too, but it is definitely a menace in Great League for sure. I'm just going to try and deal as much damage with Mandibuzz as I can. It is unlikely that I will blow any shields here. Oh, well, I just lied to you. So I blow a shield because I'm already at the charge move and I think I can outpace to another one. I also don't want this Azumarill to be able to leave this matchup with a ton of energy, and I think I can maybe get a shield back. Yeah, either I'll get a shield back or they will go down. So this is a much more comfortable position. It's actually pretty smart in hindsight. Yeah, when I'm playing, I feel like I'm a better player than when I'm watching. But this allows my Sirfetch'd to be in farm down range. Whereas if we both didn't trade shields, their Asmodee would be at a higher health, and I wouldn't be able to farm down with just counters. So unfortunately, we get CMP tied there. I elect to shield my Sirfetch'd and bring in Noctowl, and they swap into Alolan Marowak. And so this is one of the absolutely fantastic things about this lineup too. That you can't just slap two flyers, right, and put them together and expect something to work, right? That's not how it works. These two flyers, they share a lot of, like, their secondary typings share a lot of advantages and disadvantages. For example, they're both weak to fighting, so they only take neutral damage from fighting, which is why it might have been rough for me to run Galarian Stunfisk instead of Sirfetch'd here. But at the same time, they both resist Ghost because normal and, well, especially normal and dark resist Ghost. So Pokemon like Alolan Marowak that would normally threaten Sirfetch'd, or Sableye that would threaten Sirfetch'd, where you can't really do too much against those Pokemon, you can swap in Mandibuzz or Noctowl very easily. And even if you swap in Mandibuzz against, let's say, like a Drifblim or a Alolan Marowak, and they swap out, well, you got the Noctowl in the back to deal with that. So it's honestly, you can't just slap two of the same type Pokemon and call it a lion, right? Like, you can't slap Lapras and Swampert together because they're both water types. Lapras attacks with ice, Swampert attacks with ground, right? Like, they're not the same Pokemon. They don't share the same matchups, whereas Mandibuzz and Noctowl are much closer to that. And I think it honestly works very well. We're going to see a Shadow Victreebel lead. We're going to have to get out of here right away into Mandibuzz. And luckily it's a Galarian Stunfisk instead of a Bastiodon, but this is still not great of a matchup. When I'm seeing Shadow Victreebel and Galarian Stunfisk, I kind of want to think that it's going to be a Vigoroth or something in the back, but we'll find out. We can take another look at this Mandibuzz versus Galarian Stunfisk matchup. If you do play this lineup, this is going to be a matchup that you do see a lot of. Galarian Stunfisk is everywhere. People think it's a fantastic counter to Mandibuzz. It's pretty good, but and you can guarantee the switch advantage win if you spend enough shields. But look, I get a shield there, and I'm perfectly happy with taking the shield advantage and being able to farm down with Sirfetch'd. So able to get that KO right there before they're able to get anything out, and I'm going to throw a close combat. I've tried to bait with Leaf Blade in the past, but for some reason Shadow Victreebels just don't bite. And I'm going to swap into Noctowl. We're going to see Deoxys. Yeah, so this is a variation on my very old lineup of Shadow Victreebel, Deoxys-Defense, and Bastiodon, with Galarian Stunfisk as the Bastiodon replacement. And I think I made a video about this as well. So interesting to see this lineup come through, but I do need to be shielding against these rock slides here. I really can't afford to take one unless he's already debuffed, and I'll be able to farm this Deoxys-Defense down. And Noctowl versus Shadow Victreebel, well, the rest is going to be history here. I'm going to have a full Sky Attack. I won't even need to mess around with tanking a Leaf Blade or something like that. We're just going to get the Sky Attack off, and that'll be a pretty solid win right there. But yeah, Mandibuzz is able to just do so much in the safe swap position, and Noctowl's been a pretty good closer. I think my main issue with this team is Sirfetch'd is quite squishy. I just really wish there was a shadow bonus as well, so it didn't feel like you were wasting it. So this was a bit odd to me. So Skarmory, I swapped in Mandibuzz, and they swapped in Alolan Marowak. So this is kind of a Pokemon that I expected to run into in the back instead. But instead, Alolan Marowak comes out into Mandibuzz, and this is fantastic for me because I can just win back switch advantage here. Unfortunately for me, though, Mandibuzz is probably my best Skarmory counter, and I still swapped it in anyways, just because it does have the better safe switch matchups. But because I say that, I swap out Noctowl into Skarmory because my Mandibuzz is still healthy enough to deal with it later, and they swap in Meganium, and I think that was just reflex. Like, they know something's going to happen, so they swap at him. So unfortunately for them, I think they panicked a little bit in this game, but one game does not define you. So I learned a little bit from this game. So this is where I realized Mandibuzz is a better matchup versus Drifblim, so I swap in Noctowl first. I think this is the first and last time I swap in Noctowl, just because if you look at this matchup, Galarian Stunfisk versus Noctowl, I'm not going to shield, but you can tell that it's definitely not as solid. Like, this Galarian Stunfisk has so much health, I wasn't able to burn a shield or anything. Actually, I might be able to because I get to the Sky Attack. So Noctowl, better than you expect, but this Galarian Stunfisk is going to have a ton of energy, farming down with mud shots. So I'm going to go in with the Mandibuzz here. This is probably the ballsiest play I could have made, and he just goes for the Rock Slide anyways. But I swapped to stop his second Rock Slide from going off. I think I played myself a little bit in this game, because unfortunately this Drifblim is going to be able to do some serious damage. I gave up switch advantage, and then I gave up switch advantage again. So this guy can swap whenever. I can't swap at all. I've kind of essentially checkmated myself at this point, but luckily he's allowing me to get all of these Leaf Blades off. Unfortunately, he probably has 100 energy, so my Mandibuzz is going to be heavily debuffed. I really should have swapped at the end there to Mandibuzz, because then later on in the game, as it drags on, I would be able to clear that Icy Wind debuff with Sirfetch'd, but I did not think that my switch timer would be up at the time, but I think it had just come up. So unfortunately, yeah, I have to tank an Icy Wind there, and we're going to see what's in the back. I have 100 energy, but it would have to be something incredibly, incredibly weak, and I'm double debuffed, so you can see this Sceptile. Like, if I was able to clear the Icy Wind debuffs, I might have been able to beat this Sceptile, but unfortunately that is not the case, and a single Leaf Blade should be able to take me out here. So, or Frenzy Plant, I guess. But yeah, so that was a pretty big misplay on my part. Everyone makes mistakes though, just as the person before me. I think that was karma. I played against a player who panicked a little bit. In this game, I definitely panicked, and we see how it works. So this Galarian Stunfisk actually stays way in. I'm hesitant to throw Leaf Blade right away, just because a lot of people like to try and catch it. But if they had tried to catch it, they would have obviously been in some trouble. So Azumarill comes in. I'm going to have to stay in with Sirfetch'd. This is my best Azumarill counter, unfortunately. And it's also, unfortunately, my best Galarian Stunfisk counter. So now that they have both of these Pokemon, I'm really in some trouble. And honestly, I should probably swap out my Galarian my Sirfetch'd at some point, because I will need it to deal with Galarian Stunfisk. And instead I elected Double Shield. Like, at this point I probably should have just swapped to Noctowl and farmed down. But yeah, so they swapped their Galarian Stunfisk back in. Very good play from them. But I'm going to bring Mandibuzz out. And they're going to throw another Rock Slide. I'm going to have to start counting moves. So 1, 2... Yeah, I didn't know how much energy they had. I know they farmed quite a bit at the beginning. But I elect to just take them out at that point. Don't over farm too much. And it's a Shiftry in the back. So this is what I was saying, right? Like, the team isn't very good against Azu. The team isn't great against Stunfisk in the back, but Pokemon like Shiftry, like Ferrothorn, they just have no play against this entire team. And you see this Shiftry come out of the back, that there's nothing it can do, right? What is it going to do to Mandibuzz or Noctowl? It can hit Noctowl fairly hard, but the Wing Attack, Fast Move, and Sky Attack will one-shot if you can just get that off. So yeah, I don't even end up having to bring out Noctowl in this game versus both an Azu and a Galarian Stunfisk. So it's just how you play around these Pokemon that might give your team a hard time. So we're going to see a Noctowl lead. I actually didn't expect to see a Noctowl, but I'm going to swap right away into Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz has a pretty good matchup against Noctowl, but Noctowl also has a decent matchup against Noctowl, so I don't really mind swapping in Mandibuzz here. And actually, like, you can see how tanky Noctowl is. It's taking Mandibuzz straight up pretty much. And they're finally going to swap to Umbreon. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remain at nearly 100 energy, and I'm going to swap out. So this is kind of what happens when your switch timers get misaligned. So now I have this Sirfetch'd versus Umbreon. I'm going to shield because Last Resort does hurt quite a bit. And I know I'm going to have to throw energy, because otherwise I will have to shield another Last Resort. So I'm able to farm all the way down, and Noctowl is going to come back out. So once I shield the Sky Attack, though, they actually sack swap to Hitmonchan. So while this, like, Hitmonchan is a fighting type, but it is actually pretty good against the flying types, because it usually carries Thunder Punch. And I'm able to get 2 close combats off and then swap right away into an Aerial Ace before they can get a charge move off and react. But unfortunately, Mandibuzz is a CMP tie, so all this energy I have stored up kind of goes to waste. But I'm going to be able to bring back my Noctowl and just farm down the Hitmonchan. And then we got some owl-on-owl violence. Somebody stopped them. Noctowl or my Noctowl at least managed to clutch that one out and bring home the victory there. So another 4-1 set. I think pretty much every set I had with this team was a 4-1. It was just, yeah, this team just clicked way better than I expected it to right off the bat. Usually I fail for a couple of days or at least a couple of sets to try and get some consistency going while I learn the matchups and how the team should be played. But in this case, it kind of just all came together right away. I guess it's the bird combo bonus or the bird synergy bonus, theming bonus, whatever you want to call it. Depends what video game we're playing here. But yeah, everything just started to work. As for Noctowl, I would argue maybe Skarmory might be as good, if not better, in that closing position, but more people have answers ready for Skarmory, and like Skarmory can't really deal with the Alolan Marowak in the back, which is something that you probably will see a lot, as it can't really come out versus the Mandibuzz. So we're going to see a Vigoroth lead here. This is pretty good for Sirfetch'd. I thought they might try and swap, so I'm just going to shield this Body Slam instead and take this energy, and they end up somehow sack swapping after that. So luckily for me, though, they go into Hypno, and Mandibuzz probably has one of the more dominating matchups against Hypno out of any Pokemon. I'm going to be able to tank a Thunder Punch or Ice Punch or whatever punch they're running very easily and farm all the way down and with a bit over 50 energy. So Vigoroth is going to come back in, which makes me feel very confident about this game, because that means that they probably don't have a better answer to Mandibuzz, which means they definitely don't have a better answer to Noctowl. And if Vigoroth is their best answer to Noctowl and Mandibuzz, then this game will be very easy for sure. So you see a Swampert lead, Shadow Swampert. I get the fast move bug at the beginning, so I miss a turn, which is super unfortunate in this matchup. You need every fast move you can get. So I'm going to be a little bit behind here, and that means I'll probably have to swap. So I think I should have probably tried to catch a move, but instead I swap, and they swap out Skarmory, which is fantastic for me. Mandibuzz is my best Skarmory counter. I definitely want this matchup right now in the middle. And I'm going to no shield here. I think it would be bad gameplay from them to throw Brave Bird there, because they'd be debuffed for the rest of this match. And I'd be able to take out their Skarmory, no problem. And I'm just going to keep throwing foul plays. So I'm definitely willing to shield it as they are. And I'll shield... No, I'm going to let it go and still get the foul play off. So I'm going to leave this matchup with switch advantage and shield advantage. I have no idea how this happened. Skarmory is supposed to be Mandibuzz. But I'm trying to swap out right away. And I'm going to try and get as many Leaf Blades off as possible against this Azu. So an Azu Skarm in the back is honestly pretty deadly for this team. But because I'm able to get the shields down, it's not too big of a deal. I have no energy on my Sirfetch'd, so I let him go down. I wasn't sure how much energy this Swampert had, so I definitely didn't want to... This is my win condition. My win condition is to play safe and to let Sirfetch'd go down. Because if that Swampert had a ton of energy and they Hydro Cannon, blow the shield, and Hydro Cannon again, maybe my Noctowl can't deal with it. But if Noctowl has a shield, there's no way that Swampert is going to beat Noctowl. All I need to do is get to one Sky Attack, and that game is over. So that's just a little bit about finding your win condition. Drifblim, pretty bad lead, but as I said, the two Pokemon on the back deal very well with Ghost types. We're going to see a regular Stunfisk come in, and unfortunately, this is actually worse for Mandibuzz, I would say, than Galarian Stunfisk, just because the electric damage does have stab, and same type of attack bonus, and they are using Thunder Shock, so they have the ability to farm me down as well. But I'm going to try and deal as much damage as I can to prevent that from happening, at least gain a shield back. Yeah, I'll be able to get the shield, but they're going to end this matchup with a ton of energy. I have to bring in my Sirfetch'd, and it's take a discharge, and unfortunately they're going to get to another move, which I will have to shield, because I can't, even though it's a Mud Bomb, I can't tank two. And unfortunately I try and swap right away into the Azu, because I expected the Drifblim to come back, but I think they thought I was running Night Slash, so I swapped right away, which was a really bad idea. But luckily for me, they swapped back. This is the alignment I wanted. I wanted Noctowl versus Drifblim. This is absolutely fantastic for me. Like, the Icy Winds hurt, but the hexes, they don't do anything, and there's no threat of that Shadow Ball nuke. So I'm able to, like, I'm going to stop attacking here. Because I don't want them to be able to farm me down, and I was waiting for Switch Timer. So Switch Timer's back up. I'm going to swap right away into Sirfetch'd, and this match is going to be very close, despite my misplay, because they also misplayed. And I really need to get to this next Leaf Blade, and I won't quite be able to do it. So, yeah, we'll play to my opponent. That team was incredibly hard for me to deal with. My team doesn't really have a very good answer for either Azumarill or regular Stunfisk, so seeing both on the same team was quite an issue. We're going to see Zweilous lead. It's incredible that Zweilous is keeping up with Sirfetch'd in health almost. I'm forced to shield here, and they're going to swap out into Hypno. I throw a Leaf Blade, but I really shouldn't have. I should just swap right away because Mandibuzz's matchup is very dominating. Once again, I'll throw one Foul Play and then just farm down after the Leaf Blade. So I won't have to use a shield or anything. It only gets a bit scary if you see them charging all the way up. You really don't want to take a Focus Blast, but even then, I think you still win the matchup handily. So I'm able to get quite a bit of an energy lead there. Unfortunately, it's an Azumarill, so my energy is going to be slightly wasted, because Aerial Ace is a garbage move, but because of Snarl, I'm able to get so many off. I do want to get this Azumarill to around half health before my Sirfetch'd comes in. And this is so that Leaf Blade will one-shot and that they're forced to shield everything. So I already have a Leaf Blade ready. I actually think I tried to swap, but it failed because my Mandibuzz was already fainted. And I'm actually going to let my Sirfetch'd go down here and try and win this with Noctowl. So I'll blow my Sky Attack here because they haven't thrown an Ice Beam yet, and I feel like they'd shield, but they did not. And luckily they didn't, because now I still have a shield for this Zweilous, and I don't really need to worry about anything at all. I'm just going to farm down. Yeah, I decided to let that first one through, not as a flex. I legitimately thought they had a little bit more energy than they had. I didn't want them to bait with a Body Slam and to be able to throw Dark Pulse. But in hindsight, that was pretty dumb. I really should just shield the first one. That was way closer than it should have been. Galarian Stunfisk lead. Yet again, you're going to see a ton of these for sure. Yeah, and they try and catch into Mew. So Mew's a bit of a tricky one because you kind of never know what it's running, but in most cases, Mew is running something that is super effective against flying. In hindsight, I really should have held my Foul Play because it's likely running a Wild Charge. And I will have to shield one of these Wild Charges, but... So, yeah, this is just the power of Mew as a safe swap. You get shield advantage back on me, and now Galarian Stunfisk is coming in. But luckily, Galarian Stunfisk cannot farm me down. I know it has a Rock Slide ready, but I think it wants to get a little bit more energy, but I don't think it realized how much energy I had. And unfortunately, it has to throw now, and it is super low. Actually, good undercharge by this person. That's so risky to undercharge, though. But luckily, one counter takes them out, so all the residual energy goes to waste, and Ludicolo comes in. So at this point, I know I just have to burn shields, and Noctowl can come in, and one Sky Attack will finish the job. You kind of have to be worried about the Ice Beam, but an Ice Beam won't KO, and they probably won't get to the Ice Beam anyways, or it might be a bit late. So another 4 set right there. This team has just been rolling. I think all the matches I've lost so far have been very close, I would say, winnable games where I kind of make a misplay, but that happens to everybody, right? So no team is absolutely perfect. We're going to roll into this next set here. I think this might be the last set with this team. And another Galarian Stunfisk lead. Another set, another Galarian Stunfisk lead. And yeah, see, they try and catch. So that's why I overfarm a little bit every time. Catching moves is really easy right now. But they did catch anyways because I somehow still threw. Because I didn't expect them to swap into a Shiftry. So yeah, Sirfetch'd absolutely destroys Shiftry. And now they're bringing in Azumarill. So the problem with this is there's 3 Pokemon that Sirfetch'd is probably the best counter for. So I really do have to be careful about how I play this. In all honesty, I probably should have swapped to Mandibuzz to catch to catch a move, but instead I swapped to Noctowl. I realized that Noctowl is my most useless Pokemon. I tried to catch an Ice Beam with it. It didn't work, but they swapped into Galarian Stunfisk, so I should be able to just chip this guy down slowly using kind of every Pokemon at my disposal. Nobody wants to shield Sky Attacks from Noctowl on Galarian Stunfisk, but he's barely going to be able to get that Rock Slide off. And I'm going to bring in Sirfetch'd, I think. That's what I would do right now. Nope. Because I'm going to try and take an Earthquake, but it's a Rock Slide. So, yeah, I haven't been doing very good at that today. I do need to start burning these shields on this Azu, and this Aerial Ace should do the job. And I end up catching a move on my Sirfetch'd instead, just to guarantee that I can get to this Aerial Ace. But the Ice Beam will still get off. It won't be enough to KO. Mandibuzz is extremely tanky, so the issue there would have been if he had gotten to 2 Ice Beams on my Mandibuzz, and then I would have had to outpace to Leaf Blade, which I think I would have, but I wasn't sure how healthy my Sirfetch'd was. So probably an unnecessary sack swap, but sometimes you just got flex, right? So Shiftry, they're going to swap out, which is fantastic because guess what? The entire team is good against them. I stayed in way too long versus this. I end up swapping in Noctowl because Noctowl resists Marowak's moves harder. You don't have that super effective damage, but you do have the farm down capability. But you can see like these Fire Spins really add up, and I end up having to throw energy here as well. The other reason I swapped Noctowl in is because it has the worst matchup of the 3 against Shiftry, which is incredible. Mandibuzz resists all the moves, and Sirfetch'd absolutely shreds Shiftry. And we're going to see Registeel come in instead, so this is pretty interesting. I swapped because I really don't want to have this Registeel farm down my Noctowl. And Registeel is not too bad. The matchup of Mandibuzz versus Registeel, I honestly think you win the one shield, but I think it's close. So they're going to start shielding their Registeel because they realize their Shiftry is in some trouble right now. And actually, honestly, the Registeel is in some trouble too, because Sirfetch'd with shields can just completely destroy the rest of this team. So I'm just going to no-shield my Mandibuzz. I honestly just want to bring in my Sirfetch'd to speed up this match, but switch timers on cooldown, and they realize that their team is a little bit weak to fighting once their Alolan Marowak is down. So them swapping in their Alolan Marowak is kind of a death sentence there. Another Alolan Marowak. I'm going to swap right into Mandibuzz this time. And they're going to bring up Bastiodon. So this is probably the worst swap you can encounter with Mandibuzz, but at least it's not versus your Noctowl, right? You're dealing unresisted damage with Mandibuzz. Sure, you're taking a lot of damage, but this Bastiodon can't really just straight farm you down. Like, I'm keeping pace with the Bastiodon in terms of health. So he's actually going to throw Stone Edge, and I mess up an over tap. But honestly, it's probably better because my Sirfetch'd can farm down. But unfortunately, you can't farm down that much, and I probably should have ended up throwing that foul play anyways. But Alolan Marowak will come back in, and I will Leaf Blade and swap out. And at this point, when they're not swapping, this is a very good sign for me. This means that I got rid of their only flying counter in Bastiodon. And yeah, their Venusaur comes out, and I'm just going to throw Sky Attacks. I don't want to... Actually, I don't mind farming up a little bit more, but the thing is, the most powerful charge move on their team right now against me is Sludge Bomb, and I don't want to take one. I could shield there and have farmed a little bit more, but Sky Attack it just does a ton of damage to Venusaur. If I can take him out before a single charge move, then that's fine with me too. I don't mind shielding these at all. I know they're probably Bone Clubs because my opponent knows I have to shield, but this matchup is looking very comfortable for me right now. Yeah, even if they had thrown a Shadow Bone, it's not enough. They got the defense drop. I have Sirfetch'd up, so I can swap out and clear it. So that was a very very comfortable win as soon as their Alolan Marowak their Bastiodon was eliminated. So another Bastiodon, Speak of the Devil, and he's going to swap right away into Hypno. This time I learned my lesson. I don't throw a Leaf Blade. I don't charge up to a Leaf Blade. I just go in with this Mandibuzz. So you can see how much this Thunder Punch hurts. It's not very much at all. Counting my fast moves so that I am not giving him free confusions. And he actually shielded his Hypno. which is really good news for me. I'm unsure why he threw a Fire Punch, though. So he's revealed that his moveset is Thunder Punch and Fire Punch. So he stopped attacking, and then I get all those confusions at once. So I stopped attacking too because I thought he had lagged, but then all of a sudden all the confusions came in, so it turns out he wasn't lagging at all. Or he probably was lagging in the same way that I was and just not seeing anything, so a bit unfortunate. But the Bastiodon comes back in. This is expected. I'm just going to try and deal as much damage as I can. So yeah, even though Mandibuzz is a flyer, it's probably the best flyer, besides maybe Flash Cannon and Skarmory versus Bastiodon, or Razor Leaf Tropius. But I'm going to elect a shield here. I know I can survive a flamethrower. They Stone Edge anyways, but I want to keep my Sirfetch'd healthy. If I can keep Sirfetch'd and Noctowl both reasonably healthy, I don't mind spending some shields. And they just GG out. They haven't even seen my last Pokemon yet. So actually, that happens quite a bit with this team. I think Sirfetch'd and Mandibuzz working very well together. It felt like a lot of those games in the past where I played with Victreebel and Deoxys-Defense, they could just beat teams by themselves. Sometimes the Bastiodon didn't even come out. So another Bastiodon. This is the Bastiodon set. So double flyer into Bastiodon. We'll see what we end this set at. Like, is it going to be 5-0? I don't know. But, yeah, Bastiodon comes in, and once again, it's going to be forced to throw a move here. So Stone Edge, and I'm just going to do some more damage. Try and get a little bit lower so Sirfetch'd maybe doesn't have to shield this time. I'm still trying to learn all these matchups. So Sirfetch'd going to come in and no shield. So this is what happens when you get that foul play off. Very important to know. So Medicham comes in, and I'm going to swap right into Noctowl. I'm not going to shield the first one because sometimes they're not running Ice Punch. So you don't want to get baited by that. But I will shield this next one. And yeah, they're going straight Ice Punch, so I feel like it's Ice Punch Psychic, not Power Up Punch. They would have probably tried to bait there, I think, with Power Up Punch. But yeah, they're going to keep shielding, and I need to swap out right now and get to this Leaf Blade before they get to another move. So I've been watching my switch timer the whole time, and now Tropius comes back in. It's Razor Leaf Tropius. This is honestly still quite a tough game, but because of my swap taking out that Medicham, it's given me this opportunity to get to this Sky Attack. So they throw a charge move, which allows me to get a free Wing Attack through, and then I'm able to get another Wing Attack off to get to the Sky Attack, and gonna win this game as well. So Tropius lead into Bastiodon is probably worst case scenario for this team, and we're able to still come through with a little bit of good play and a little bit of repositioning and stuff like that. So finish this off with a 5-0 to get to rank 10, I think. I don't know. Ranks don't really matter right now, but still slowly going up. This team had an incredible win rate for me. I think for this team specifically, it was over 80%. My current win rate is not over 80% now. It is dropped a little bit. I think at this time in this game, it was around 80%. Now it's probably around 70%. I've been losing a lot recently, just trying to get comfortable with a new team. But yeah, as usual, the link to my Discord and my Patreon are going to be in the video description. And if you guys have any questions, Discord's the best way to reach me. I'll try my best to respond to YouTube comments, of course. But if you guys like this type of video, then give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching.